Hi guys, this is Lachette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and this is the first of my end of the year bookish videos where I talk about my most disappointing, most surprising, least favorite, and favorite books of 2020 and go over my 2020 reading stats. So, if you're not subscribed, you should subscribe so that you see those videos because they'll be coming back to back now. This first video is my most disappointing reads of 2020. Uh, these books, these were not my least favorite. These were not badly rated for the most part. Let me just double check that. Yeah, not badly rated exactly, but I had higher hopes, higher expectations for these books, and they did not meet those expectations, so I was greatly disappointed. Like I said, let's not belabor the point. I do want to get the negatives out of the way though. So I've got 5 books because, I don't hate everything. I just don't have that many books to talk about that were disappointing, which is the silver lining here, honestly. So these come in no particular order. They're not like least disappointing to most disappointing. Just honestly, I think in order I read them because I was going through my read books list and that's how I wrote them down, top to bottom. So, the first book I want to talk about is The Wedding Party by Jasmine Guillory. This is book 3 in the Wedding Date series by her. This was the first book that I read. This is a contemporary romance, and I believe for this one I read the physical book. I got it out from the library. I should have stopped here, to be quite honest. There's a Black Women Who Plan and Create book club, and that month they were reading the book, and I had seen this series talked about by booktubers, so I was like, let's go. I thought this was the first book, but it wasn't. The Wedding Date is the first book. I didn't really like that one either. This is Black characters, and I just was not feeling them. I hadn't read Black contemporary romance that wasn't like street fiction, I guess, urban fiction, as it's called sometimes. So I was wanting to try something like this, and I just no. And I went on to read The Wedding Date, which was the first book, so I was like, oh, maybe it's this book because it's book 3 and I don't know what's going on. The Wedding Date was very slightly better. I don't think Jasmine Guillory's writing style works for me. There were plot holes and then some things that I was just like, this is ridiculous and I can't get with it. Like, I'm okay with ridiculousness in some types of romance, and this is not like a romantic comedy type of situation. So but I did appreciate seeing Black people in contemporary jobs with contemporary thoughts about romance and sex and things like that. So that was okay. It didn't work for me. Moving on. I don't want to harp on these. The next book I read that I was disappointed in was House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book in her new Crescent City series. It debuted last year, came out last year, and this wasn't bad. Again, I didn't give this a horrible rating. The Wedding Party, I didn't give a great rating. This wasn't bad. I felt too long. She tried to include too much, too many plot threads in one book, in the first book. Um, and I did appreciate the slow romance, but I think that was the main thing. Too many. And then, quite honestly, this is an urban fantasy series, Sarah J. Maas's first urban fantasy, and I'm a huge fan and reader of urban fantasy, and I felt like I've read better. I don't know how else to put that. Um, it just didn't. I had higher hopes. I like her other series better. I will continue with the Crescent City series. As the books come out, I'll read more and hopefully it will get better. I was just like, could have been better. The main character Bryce, I sometimes liked and other times didn't. So yeah, uh, that's all I have to say about that. It was an anticipated release, and so anyway, next up, and I read that as an ebook. The next up, I have The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I read it partially from this bind up, which is a complete collection of Oz, Volume 1, which has the first 3 Oz stories. And yeah, so I've never read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Maybe as a kid it was read to me, but I do not recall. I struggled. I really struggled because I was like, let's see what it's like. So this wasn't like, oh, I really want to read this. This was, I'm curious, and still felt let down. There's the story kind of meanders for no particular reason at points. This is not completely ridiculous or pointless or plotless like the Alice in Wonderland. So you just have to adjust and know this is not, there's no point. Just go with it. It's fantastical and ridiculous fiction. This is has a mix of a plot and ridiculousness, and I know this is for kids, so, but I was struggling to care, and that might possibly be because I know the story so well. Having seen the movie how many times, having watched a Disney TV show, having seen so many adaptations, that I was struggling to find the point. So I don't know. I also don't know what those weird noises are if you can hear them outside. But yeah, so I did go on to finish this collection, or this volume, I should say, of the collection, and enjoyed the other 2 stories. So I think it's because I knew where the story was going and I felt impatient for it to get there. That was why it was disappointing. So this is one of the reasons I like reading the book before watching the movie, because I think I lack the patience for reading the book afterwards, if that makes sense. So, next, this big disappointment. I can't believe I'm putting this on here, but it was Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, book 1 in the Stormlight Archive series, which is also part of the whole Cosmere world building that Sanderson has created. I have heard so much about this series, the Stormlight Archive, and for the past 2 years I have been reading every other book in the Cosmere to get to this series, and I have enjoyed them all. None have been disappointing until this one, and that's aside from the issues that I personally had with reading it, being triggered by the huge amounts of depression in this book. But because it was part of the Cosmere and I was doing this whole like read the Cosmere thing, I went into each book in each series completely blind. I didn't know what the Stormlight Archives was about. I just know Cosmere. It will have something to do with the 16 shards affecting whatever world we're on, Roshar in this case, and we'll see there will have their own, beyond that Cosmere shard issue, there will be some world politics and issues, and it will be a book very character focused. Not that there is never any plot in these books, but there's a very heavy amount of character work, which I appreciate in Brandon Sanderson's works. So, that being said, I had no clue where the hell this 1,000+ page book was going, and one of the characters really pisses me off. I appreciate that. That's a well-written character. But I didn't like her. And then another character was having severe depressive episodes, and I wasn't realizing that was triggering me to be down and negative, and have depressive thoughts, until about 3/4 of the way through the book. So I kept putting it down, though I wanted to know what the hell was going on. Like, why does this exist? Why is this happening? Reading the synopsis on the back didn't clarify anything. So it took me, I think, 2 months to read this. And it's a long book. That might not seem like a big deal, but I was just, I was disappointed because a lot of people say they started with this series, and obviously the first book, as far as Brandon Sanderson books, as far as Cosmere books, a lot of people who've read them all were like, oh my god, I can't wait till you get to this. And then I didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped. I didn't hate it, and this is not rated badly. Like, it's not a 2 or a 1 star, but I didn't love it as much as any of the other Cosmere books, all the Brandon Sanderson books that I've read so far, and that disappointed me. So it is what it is. Lastly, finally, there's Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is book 1 in the Live Trader trilogy, which is the second trilogy in the Realm of the Elderling series that Robin Hobb has created. Earlier in the year, I had finished the first trilogy, which the fifth trilogy. I forget the name of it. I'll put it on the screen here. But yeah. So I enjoyed the first trilogy. This reading the Realm of the Elderling was not a plan when I started the year, but I joined in on the Catch Up Book Club, which was reading the Realm of the Elderling series halfway through the year. And so I said, I'll give them a try. Since I liked the first trilogy, I said, we'll keep going, even though I'm reading Cosmere books. And I know they're getting bigger. This is also a tome well over 500 pages, 700 and something, 800 and something, I think. This has many character points of view, which led me to not liking as many of them, because we spent a significant amount of time with a lot of people, but I didn't care too much for what was happening. And after, loving Fitz and all his imperfectness, and the Fool, and just generally enjoying other characters in the first trilogy, I was disappointed with how much I didn't love the characters in this. Like I said, I didn't hate them. There's quite a few mysteries, but I wound up feeling like this trilogy in particular was too much. I didn't have a connection with it as much. So I was sad and disappointed. So yeah, um, it didn't make me feel the way I wanted to feel, I guess, or as well uh, as I felt reading the Fitz Chivalry trilogy before this. Will I continue? Yes, it's interesting, and I feel like the second book is probably better now that I know everybody for the most part. And there are some interesting uh, mysteries to find out, but it didn't make me want to continue right away to push through when I had so many other things I wanted to read way more. So, with that, those are my most disappointing reads in 2020. Have you read any of these? Let me know down in the comments what you thought. If you have, it's mostly fantastical books. Some big ones there at the end. Children's classic fantasy, urban fantasy, and then just an urban, well, not an urban, contemporary romance that just put me off a whole series. So, yeah, let me know what you thought of these books. Are you participating in reading the Cosmere, or because and there's the Stormlight Archive read along currently going on, so I am continuing, and it did get better for me. It was just that first book. I was like, I'm sad. The Realm of the Elderling read along with Catch Up Book Club. Are you participating? What did you think of these books? Let me know down in the comments below if you've gotten this far. Give me a thumbs down emoji to let me know. And like this video if you liked it, guys. Subscribe if you have not. This channel is not only bookish or reading content, but it's consistent. I do at least 2 a month, and you'll get like 6 this month because of all of these 2020 end of the year bookish videos. So there's more to come, and those will be coming rapidly. Next up is my least favorite books of the year, those worst reads. Everything wasn't great in 2020, even the reading, but that's neither here nor there, quite honestly. So subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to know about those, my most surprising and favorite books, and my reading stat videos will be coming up next. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.